something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
G'day, folks. Hope you're well. Question: can you hear me? Because I, for some reason, can't hear anything else, or didn't hear the opener play, or anything else for that matter. So, can you tell me? Are you hearing me? Oh, no. Yes. Okay, all right. Well, the microphone's working, so it's down at my end, isn't it? Oh shit! I haven't changed it yet. I've been working all day. In fact, part of the reason I'm a little bit late is because I was going to show you some of the things I've been working on, but haven't been able to upload the video fast enough. I've got to convert it. So I did this. Good, eh? All right. Did this. You've probably got to turn your head on the side to get half an idea of that, but this one will give you more of an idea. A couple of stumps, a plank, a different view of the same stump from the planks, and another view. Looks like I'm making a seat. I'm not saying I'm making a seat. I'm saying it looks like I'm making a seat. We'll see how it goes. Could be interesting. We've had a big day here today, so I haven't actually been on the computer at all. We've moved containers. We've had to wood, do different things, make a quite a significant change to get a container out of one area and onto somewhere else, and it's just been a day. And then just play around with it very, very hard with the other bit, so we'll see how it goes. All right, let's go back up the top to who was first in. First tonight, followed by Angela then. So you're all basically around the same time. Lovely to have you all. Oh, there's a mention at the top there. For those of you who do pray, yesterday I went and saw a dear friend, of course, a freedom dear friend of mine, who I only met. I think I met her for the first time in Harvey Bay, but I might be wrong. She may have come to the Ipswich show. But I met Martin said to me that lovely daughter Alice at Harvey Bay at one of my very first live shows. And from that time, Margie has popped up in my life and in my shows in various places all over Australia. I think she was at the common law thing we did with Pixie down at Singleton at the Cali. We were there for a week or so and we studied making cover very depth. And then I think I've seen her in a couple of other places. Of course, I saw her with the Rosie tour as well. So yeah, she just used to pop up and I'd see her in crowds. It's really quite a surprise. Sadly, Margie is in a position now where a med bed is required, really, if she's to survive. It's a very sad state of affairs, and I'm just hopeful that we'll leave Margie in the prayers tonight. Pray for a miracle, pray for a med bed. I won't go too deeply into what's happened with Margie, but cancer is probably the biggest stage, and now it seems to have gone to a lot of different parts of the body, and it's not a great prognosis. So, if you would, please, like I said, I would appreciate it, and I would family would appreciate it, she would appreciate it. And it's what we do here. We're all family. So, thank you very much for doing that. For those of you that do pray, and for those of you that don't, say a nice word to whatever, whoever. Say a nice word if you can do that. Aussie Sue and Sunflower in the house today, girls, and Michelle's in as well. Lovely to see you all in. Will and Kate, hope you guys are having a good time. Andrew Smith, personal accountant, nice to see you guys in. Margot, who else? I'm just seeing if there's any questions or anything I'm scanning. So Agate Masters in. I haven't actually had a check now that we're talking about it, but I did hear gold seems to be going up and silver seems to be going down. Is the juxtaposition of things. I'm looking at the Ainsley website now. Gold is 3,846.55. That's got to be close to a record, a new record maybe. And silver down to 44.67. So that has dropped over the weekend. It did rise up to about 46, I think, on early Saturday morning, and then we dropped down again by mid Saturday morning to under 45, and now seems to drop a little lower. I haven't checked since probably early Saturday morning, so it's dropped in that time. Not such a bad thing. In fact, I would encourage you to go out and buy. If you can get yourself a coin, if you can get yourself, if you're into the Byron Bobs, and I've got some news on Byron Bay at the moment. It's using laptop mark. Thank you, mate. All right, that's been letting me know. It's using laptop mark, so not that bad. All right, well, that's all very weird. The computer has gone and done some silly things tonight. I'll have to go and try and find out why it's doing those silly things, but I'll do it afterwards. Yeah, silver, get into it. Get into it as fast as you can. AinsleyBullion.com.au. Don't forget, in the notes section, leave my name or VOS, and you'll get a discount on whatever you buy. Now, Byron Bob, these are Ainsley rounds, if you're not aware of them, and they are they're a very, very popular item. Now, they're a 1/10 round, which makes them pretty easy to use. And Byron Bay has started a thing called the Byron Bob program, where people can use Byron Bobs to trade for goods and services in and around Byron Bay. So, as you can see on the left there, you can buy a tube of 40 of them, or you can buy a tube of 15 of them. Now, I guess let's have a look and see how much they are. Go to my cart, added one to the cart. I'm probably going to have to call the boys and say tomorrow I'm not buying it. $112.81. That's not a bad little investment, given the price of silver at the moment. So, if you could sell yourself some Byron Bobs, and if you want, there's ½ ounce and 1 ounce and all sorts of other wonderful little things here you can have a look at, including the 50th anniversary Ainsley Bullion round, which is not here at the moment. Have a look at it. See if I can find it. No, but you can get an idea of everything that they have available on their through the website. So, AinsleyBullion.com.au, and don't forget to leave Voice of Freedom or my name in the notes section, and you will receive that little discount. It's only going to go up. So it might go down a little bit now, and that just means buy more. Don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. Hang on to it. Harm, nice to have you back. No notification tonight. How many folks in the chat got a notification tonight? It may have something to do with the length of time I give the system to put out a notification. I think tonight's show was a little under half an hour before the 6:30 show time, before I set the program up. I'm going to try tomorrow to set the program up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the reason I don't usually set it up that early is Project Matilda goes into a very long and doesn't show anything wait screen for all the time until they play up. And I think I could do better with that one. So I don't do it, but I will tomorrow. We'll put a test to it and just see how many people do get a notification when the show is, at least 2 hours out. It might be a little closer than that. Vince Noir, hang on. What, you can hear me, but poorly. Hang on. Let me go to my microphone settings, see what I can see. Well, it's not even seeing that other microphone. So not so flash. Maybe what I need to do is go into another setting. Give me but a moment here, folks. What do I want to do? I go into sound, microphone. All right, what can I do for my microphone level? I'm looking, I'm trying. Oh, how's that? Does that make it a little bit better for you, folks? If I do it like that? Hang on. Now I've got to shut everything down and go back to the chat screen so I can see. Is that easier for you to hear, or am I distorting, or am I? You're probably all reaching for the volume buttons now to try and all turn it back down again. I've just adjusted one of the main settings. Stu is capable of saying boom, but I'm not quite sure if that's me or whatever. A thumbs up or an indication. Can we all better? Says Paul. Beautiful. All right. That's still choppy. Well, I'm guessing that that's the system. Which side of the system am I on tonight? I'm on Telstra at the moment. Shouldn't be choppy. Maybe it's just because there's so many of you watching, filling up the bandwidth. That might be it. All right. I can't do much more about it if that is the case. So I apologise. I was going to tell you about Byron Bay. Go down there and use the Byron Bobs. If you happen to live in Byron Bay, council has just done something interesting to you. They've put a cap on short-term holiday rentals. Now, think Airbnb. Airbnb in Byron Bay. Now, people that own buildings, houses, units, and whatnot are used for Airbnb are limited to using them for 60 days a year. That might help the traffic in and around Byron. The people who own these properties are going to be very upset because there's a lot of money they won't be able to get, because at the moment, some of them are, right, Vince, some of those people are making thousands and thousands of dollars a week out of those rentals, and they're using that money to pay off the multi-million-dollar loan they've got to buy the property in the first place. So I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of very unhappy people in and around Byron Bay when that news comes out. So it's only been released late this afternoon, and I haven't read the entire story. But people are suggesting already in this story it's going to devastate the economy. The locals will say, no, it won't. It'll just make it easy to get to the shop so we can spend the money. But yeah, that's going to make a big gap. Certainly make it easier to spend your Byron Bay Bob in that part of the world. Noosa is expecting an influx of properties on the market next year. That's interesting. Sunflower. Well, we know that there are some lovely properties up that way. Karoi too. Not sure. No, I'm not going to. No, I won't. But I know that there is a lot of interest in land out the back of Noosa, Karoi, out to Kilkeevan, so Kenilworth, and further west. People are looking for acreage, trying to get away as far away as they can from these electronic things that are being put up all over the place. So there's a lot of interest in the land out the back that way, and out the back here too, between here and Bow Desert, Boona, all the way down to Kyogo. Huge demand, big money for the land too. So keep an eye out. There is some folks, if you have any, there are some folks in the family who are looking for land. So if you happen to know of anything for 150 acres plus, up to maybe 300 acres, then let me know, because there are people who I've just been speaking with privately who've told me that's what they're looking for. Might be able to hook you up. Never know. I haven't got a picture of it yet, but one of this is quite a sad story, in fact. one of the members of the community here, a lady, beautiful lady, has been taken advantage of by someone. She has bought an inverter that is not usable for her requirements. And she bought this at the behest of somebody else saying, oh, yeah, it'll be right, be bloody great, be awesome, be wonderful, be bloody great. So if anybody is looking, I want to say it's a 2,000 watt, but it might be more. It might be a 3,000 watt inverter. She paid, I think, $1,800 for it or thereabouts. She's prepared to do a deal. She knows she's not going to get her money back, but this is a single lady who has moved here to the property and has, tooled up as best as she can. She's not a wealthy lady by any stretch of the imagination, so she can't afford to wear that $1,600 loss. But if you're looking for an inverter and you want it cheap and you're prepared to be a bit fair, then please email me, carl@vofhq.com, and I will pass that offer along to her at the first opportunity, or the offers. But yeah, I think she paid either 16 or 1,800. I think she told me she has the receipts for it. It's never been out of the box. It has never been out of the box. So because the company that came up with to do with solar, and the company came along and said no, unacceptable. We've got to use our own. They almost. And so there she is, hanging on to this thing for no apparent reason. So if anybody's up for a new inverter, I will get some pictures of the box and find out exactly what it is, because I didn't see it myself. But I'll have that on tomorrow night's show, I would say. All good. Just having a bit of a glance down the chat. Wacky wheat is the official currency of Byron Bay. Well, maybe once, but I don't think so much anymore. These days, I think there is a bit of a crack problem in the area. I'm not sure it's all around Byron Bay, but I'm not sure it's in Byron Bay, it's all around Byron Bay, and they're in the northern rivers area, a really significant problem. So I'm sure there is still a lot of other shit going around. The real estate bubble might burst. It may make things more affordable. It will send people to the wall. I am personally aware of at least 3 families, one family and 2 other single people, who will have to sell their properties if the interest rates go up again this year. There's just no other way out. They're driving you out of your homes, the bastards, and they are very, very good at doing it and blaming everything but themselves for it. We'll get around that to another day. All right, let me get down to the bottom and try to begin again. If gold, If gold goes up, the interest rate should come down, but the damage by Labor over the last 4 years is sickening. Yep, couldn't agree more. In fact, the price of gold going up is a very good barometer or an indicator of what's going on in the world. If the price of gold, all right, let me try and break this down in a funny kind of way. If the price of gold in Australian dollars reaches 4,000, then I think we will be on the brink of thermonuclear war. If it reaches 5,000, we've probably had a nuke go off somewhere, or there is some large, significant event that's happened. So at the moment, it's sitting at 3,800. 4,000 is going to be very close to a world war. 5,000, I reckon we'll see the missiles flying. There's a bit of a barometer. Silver will kick and kick hard, I would suspect, after the shooting starts. But I'm not given financial advice. I don't know how. But the people at Ainsley Bullion will certainly give you an appraisal of the market and what happens in times of war. Speaking of war, the Middle East is under huge pressure at the moment. Huge pressure. And we've seen it before. We've seen it when the Israelis have fired just a few bullets over the fence. We've seen oil prices go through the roof. Whenever there seems to be a rattle of a saber in the Middle East, oil prices go up, fuel prices go up. What are your fuel prices like where you are at the moment? Ours in this area and a little wider afield are under $2 basis for both unleaded and diesel. You're still paying well over $2 for that 98, but under $1.80, even under $1.75 in most cases around here at the moment. And it's been that way for a couple of weeks. Now, unless somewhere else in the country has got $2.40 prices because the war's on, what's going on with the fuel prices? And why hasn't oil gone through the roof? And why aren't we being jacked on fuel? I mean, I'm happy we're not. Don't you think that's a bit weird? I do. It's very strange. I'd like to see some fuel economists try and explain that, because it's always reacted. The fuel prices always reacted with how many bullets are being fired in which general direction in the Middle East, and not necessarily who fired them. It didn't matter, just that they were fired. But oil seems to be very calm, very cool. The price of oil is not going through the roof, or if it is, it's not being passed on to us. Not currently, anyway. Wild Aussie woman, a truer word never said. A truer word never said. How many litres in a gallon, Fern? I think there's 4.3 litres in a gallon. I don't know why I want to say that. I could be wrong. That all-seeing evil bastard Google will probably be able to do that. Yes, Quadribar. Did hear about the earthquake in the Hunter Valley recently. I think it was a 4 point something. How deep was it? Funnily enough, it was at 10 kilometres. There are a few things, obviously, that can rattle the earth in the Hunter Valley, including the mines. Oh, speaking of mines. Yeah, there was another one in Bali over the weekend, and I know somebody there at the moment, and get this text that has a 0.9 on the Richter scale, and never heard from the person again for the next 5 hours. That was good. They know how to do it. 4.5 to the US gallon. Thank you, Agate Master. I knew it was 4 point something. I don't know why I saw 3. 1.69 or 4.55. I think we're all taking a bit of a guess here, aren't we? I'd probably go with Vince. 1.69 litres to a gallon? I don't think that'll be right. Or are you saying $1.69? $1.69 for the fuel. Right. Thank you, Vince. Very good. Dollar sign would have been handy. 4 per gallon. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Dave. All good. All right. Let's have a look at a few things. Before I do that. I don't do that. All right. So I've shown you the mastery of my woodwork. We're not getting carried away, folks. Trust me, we are not getting carried away. All right, this is an interesting piece of news. No Australian cities made the list of the top 15-minute cities, which included over 10,000 locations around the world. Now, this is a Channel 7 story. And they are, I guess, trying to make us get better. Let's have none of that, folks. We are leading the pack at not having 15-minute cities, in spite of the fact that the unlawful councils that exist, because the union bloke said so, I don't know, we never voted for or allowed a third tier of government to rule over us. That's another story for another day. Right now, Australian cities have made the top 15 minutes. Oh, God, that's got to be good. But when you walk around Surface Bar area or Maroochydore area, you are under constant surveillance from multiple angles. And everything you say on the street, in all likelihood, can and is being recorded. Just remember that. Do you want to have a good story today? Let's before I get into some of this other stuff here, I want to tell you about a really, really good story. There is a mine up near Coober Pedy. It's called Prospect Hill. Now, there's a lot of great men and women working at Prospect Hill Mine. And can I tell you, thank you for what you are doing by standing up in the way that you have. So now you folks are wondering what these miners have done at Prospect Hill. Oh, can I tell you, they stood up in the best possible way. Why? Well, because the very aptly named, I suspect, camp manager decided to book some entertainment for the miners. It was entertainment night, show night, and of course, what was it? It was a drag show. Now, this was a drag show apparently that came out of Adelaide, a couple of drag queens who obviously can't read a room, I wouldn't have thought. One of them walked over to a bunch of miners and asked whether or not they'd be buying tickets for bingo or something, stick your hand in a box, or I don't know, there was some very, very awful reference. And one of these miners just stopped and looked up at this thing and said, "You should not be," and left it at that. When the show started, and bear in mind, this happens, the shows go on in an area where call it the pub, all right? It's not a pub, it's a crib room or whatever it is, but it's the only area where the miners are allowed to drink, and they are allowed to have 4 cans of mid-strength beer per night, if you like, or after a shift, per day. So that's it, 4 cans per day, and you've got to buy them on your little ring ticket thing there. So everybody knows how much you've had to drink. You can't get any more. You can only get 4. You must drink them in that room. You can't take them back, store them up, and have 10 in your room and go home and get pissed afterwards. None of that. You must be in that room to drink, and where the show is. And everything in that room is recorded. There is cameras, there is audio, all the conversations can be recorded, and that's because the company is protecting itself. Well, I'd like to know how BHP thinks it's going to protect itself against people who may well have found that show to be beyond offensive, beyond disgusting. I won't tell you one of the jokes that was meted out by a dildo carrying freak at the time, but it had something to do with 3 fingers and your sister. Now, the camp manager is responsible for booking the talent. You know what a camp manager does? They manage the camp. They manage the facilities. They manage the laundry and the cleaning and the stocking of the food and the cooking of the food and making sure that everything's all right in the camp. And not the mine manager. I would have thought the mine manager would be responsible, or at least have an eye over, the entertainment being booked by the camp manager at the Prospect Hill mine and the rest of the facilities that BHP have around the country. and they've got a lot of them. I'd love to hear if there are any other gay drag shows going into mines in Western Australia, South Australia, Northern Territory, or Queensland, because how is it appropriate when the vast majority of the people working there are not interested in receiving the brainwashing being offered by the freaks in high heels waving dildos and telling really bad jokes? Not funny, just disgusting jokes. Disgusting. And why would anybody in the mining industry think that that kind of show is appropriate on a mine site? All well and good if you want to go to a pub and see it somewhere, when you're off site. But these people can afford to get big name artists. Australian ones, admittedly, who go out and do a little session out there. They might do an hour, might do an hour and a half. You can actually, or you used to be able to, I don't know if you still can, used to be able to book a little tour through various mines if you had an artist willing to go and do them. I suspect it's probably still very similar. Although it sounds like the camp manager has a bit more say these days. So the appropriateness of whatever's going on in these camps needs to be drastically looked at. At any rate, the people of Prospect Hill stood up to it. Good on you. And not only did they not really participate in the show, because the show, as always, must go on, and it did. But since then, complaints have been laid about the appropriateness of it all, and there has been a request made that a video from the security cameras, which will have seen and heard everything that happened in that room, be made and be given to the board of BHP to see if that is appropriate for their workforce. Because if the board condones that kind of thing, and the camp managers everywhere keep booking that sort of thing, I suspect there's going to be a mine accident. It'll be very sad. People may die. It'll be very sad. Somebody's got a very large mine truck and a bit of silk that wasn't seen, I'm sure. But I'm joking. But you get the idea. So Prospect Hill, all power to you. Stood up. Don't think your mine manager is going to allow your camp manager any more leeway. In fact, I'd be surprised. There have been rumours that the camp manager has been let go. He may well be now the tour manager for the drag act. Who knows? But that particular camp manager has been let go. I don't know. And I believe that there are others who are currently sitting out their homestay on their swing and considering their position. Others who may have approved this over and above the camp manager. So, all power to you, Prospect Hill miners. Well done. Well done, indeed. Here's an interesting story. Aussie consumers are very hesitant about using their face to pay in store, with experts stating the potential for privacy and security breaches is a major deal breaker. A recent study from the QUT in Queensland, obviously, delved into what it would take for Australians to use facial recognition payment technology, a payment system that deletes facial characteristics, detects, not deletes, facial characteristics, and stores that data in retailer databases. It's already been trialled across Asia. Well, of course it has in China. And they make this sound like a positive, right? 61 million users in China in 2018, which is now estimated to exceed 760 million in 2022. That's because China is the most scrutinized and spied on population in the world. But Aussies aren't sold on it, thank God. Shoppers were less willing to embrace this because they're not familiar with the retailer. No, not familiar with the retailer. If I've got to walk in and smile at their bloody cash register every time we're paying for something, I think there's a problem. They don't consider new technology useful or were satisfied with the existing payment methods like tap and go or digital payments. They don't say cash anywhere. Notice. Absolutely ridiculous. We found shoppers also willing to trial and adopt facial technology as long as they had access to the information and, importantly, trusted the retailer offering it. Why would you trust the retailer? What happens if you've got a very, very nice person serving you, but they happen to stick a USB drive in the side of the computer or the paid piece of shit terminal there? Well, that's what it's sale, not piece of shit. I beg your pardon. That they're taking your money from in any sense, cash or otherwise. Well, if it's cash, they're not going to be able to get that onto a little USB drive and take all your details home with your smiling face, are they? But if you pay by digital or anything else, they can potentially gain access to everything you got. Be very careful. That would be my thoughts on it. Be very, very careful. And while you're being careful, maybe you'd like to give them a go. I shit you not. Cricket corn chips. Ground up crickets, turned into a flour, made into a chip. Shrunk the size of the pack by 25%, but don't worry, there's still the same hopper load of chips inside. Same sack. Oh, smaller stack. Sounds like a disease. Or at least a small medical condition. Anyway. Moving on. The XEC variant of the spicy cough, folks. Look out. It's going to get more easily spread, but safely, happily, the current jabs are still effective. Isn't that good? So many more people rushing off for number 7 shortly. God, Queensland government's offering to help you burn down your house and have no insurance while you do that by giving a rebate for e-scooters and e-bicycle purchases, part of a new $1 million scheme our Punsava Premier has put out as part of a bribe to try and get some kind of green vote happening for the Labor Party and the forthcoming or upcoming election next month here in Queensland. If you haven't or are not aware, Stephen Miles, satanic prick that he is, you want to see the tattoo on his left shoulder. I've got a photo of it somewhere. I'll dig it out. Have no fear. The campaign is coming. But anyway, he would like to give you anywhere between $200 and $500 for an e-scooter or an e-bicycle purchase. Now, we've seen what happens with those batteries, haven't we? LiPos. We've been talking about LiPo batteries a lot recently, in pages and walkie-talkies, other things that seem to explode for no apparent reason. If you're in Lebanon, would happen anywhere. Just remember. I love this sign. Thank you, whoever put this one up on. I think it was Facebook, whatever it is. Once they get rid of cash, they will charge the businesses even more percentage of taking card payments. Time to wake up. And this sign is great. Please use cash if you can. Last week, our card machine charges were equal to a day's wages for a member of our team. So if you think for a moment, once they stop taking cash, the banks aren't going to up that card fee, and that'll be passed on, of course. And who else will it be passed on to? Just us. Don't worry about us. Well, maybe you got to worry about you if you're living in Victoria and you're anywhere near a certain wind farm. It's called Golden Plains Wind Farm. It's near Geelong. Very nice wind farm, don't you think? For what wind farms are. Shit, but Okay, it's a wind farm. Well, be careful. Warned to watch out for sharp shards of flying plastic coming off the Golden Plains wind farm turbines. The Victorian farmers have been warned to take extra safety precautions at their properties after a sharp, serrated edge bit began flying off the state-of-the-art new green energy wind turbines. Now, the owners are the federal and the state government. They've got a company together, the Golden Plains Wind Farm Company, and they have sent out a letter to farmers to ask them to consider delaying works until further assessments could be undertaken. During this time, whilst they expect the risk of further detachment to be, well, minimal, they would like to give everybody 400 metres back to the turbines. If you don't have to do critical work, go it. If you do have to go out, then please put on a hard hat. I kid you not. Put on a hard hat. What is all this in aid of? Well, Victoria are going to play a key role, and that's what these bladed bastards are meant to be. Play a key role in meeting Victoria's ambitious 95% renewable energy target for 2035. And if Victoria manages to survive to 2045, net zero, by which time I expect all you're going to hear is the rustling bones of dead people like wind chimes in the wind. Golden Plains Wind Farm is assisting WorkSafe to monitor the issue to ensure the risks of health and safety are adequately addressed. How many dead birds are lying around there? Public safety is the highest priority. The owners of the operators of the wind farm must comply with strict energy safety laws and regulations. But apparently not the bastards that manufacture the blades, as they fly off quite regularly. One goes, then gets out of balance. All of a sudden, the turbine's tearing itself apart. It's gushing 6,000 litres of hot oil down the side of it. And if that wind turbine happens to be located on the sea, where does that oil go? Straight into the sea. 6,000 litres of it. Thank you and good night. And of course, what doesn't go into the sea immediately burns, catches fire, and burns. So then you've got dripping plastic and everything else these things are made out of. Oh, bloody great, these wind farm things. It's going on so well. Local councils, state governments, federal governments. You're all responsible. And I would like to think that image does give pause to make them think. Because while you can arrest some of us, you get all of us. And it is only through coming together, folks, and understanding the tyranny that is being laid down upon us and those who came before us, our families, our great-grandfathers, our great-great-grandfathers, and potentially our great-great-great-grandfathers and down. It has been going the history of this nation, to be sure, and I guess that's all we really need to be concerned about, rather than going back to the actual start date. But I will tell you, the 1600s were very interesting. It was a very interesting period. In fact, 2 centuries, 1600s to the 1800s, extremely interesting, and a lot of very convenient other things happening. Things like World Trade Fairs, or World Fairs, not trade fairs, but World Fairs. And if you go and have a look at some of those, you'll see that there is nobody at them. These buildings, huge buildings that have taken years to build, but apparently not. Were all torn down after the World Fair in various places around the world and at various different times. There is now a great deal of evidence to suggest that the orphan trains, if you haven't heard about those, we'll do a show on that one other night if you're interested, that the orphan trains were born out of these these world fairs that America in particular had on a regular basis all over the continent. What happened there? Well, parents were offered that their children would go to a bigger, brighter a wonderful future. But they had to go away and be trained with all this new technology. But and parents quite rightly wanted to offer those children they had the best chance at life that they had, bearing in mind the time. If they're lucky, the kids may be able to go to school and read, but most of them wouldn't have been able to. They were being offered all of this. All you had to do was give your children up. And they filled train loads of, and took them away from society and reset them. What happened to their parents? Oh, it's another story, which we'll talk about another time. But it's a very interesting story. Could it have happened? A lot of evidence says it did happen. So bear that in mind over what is coming. And what is coming? Well, we've got a Queensland election if we get through October. September. Well, today is the 23rd of September, and I haven't seen the news around the world. World War III may well have commenced today. I'm unaware of it if it has. But Hollywood has been pointing to September 23rd for years. The Simpsons pointed to September 23rd. Hollywood has done it in a number of movies with big name, successful movies, not little ones too. Bearing in mind, they've always got to tell us what they're doing. So the 23rd of September, big day, and we are in the year where big things are meant to be happening. Thank you, Quad. Yes, I am using the laptop mic. I can't fix it at the moment. Does that help? I can yell. Yeah, we figured that out. Denise, that sounds like fun. A $1,200 electricity bill. Gas was $632. Council wants $279 for rubbish. Wow. Yeah, well, who's the bigger thief? I'm not completely sure. The electricity people, the gas people, given that we are a country that produces more natural gas than just about anywhere else in the bloody world, you should get it to your house for free. But what do they do in Victoria? They're removing it. You can't put gas into a new property now. No, it's all got to be electric. And that's where something that we're working on at the moment, a story, if you like, in the background, trying to find out which state is trying to do this. But there is talk that the smart meters on your appliances are going to give an overall smart meter rating of your house, and your house will be rated against others in the area. And if it falls below a certain star rating, you will have to fix it, or you will not be able to live in it, rent it out, or do anything else with it. So they're going to ramp up the costs and run you out of your property stocks. But that's, once again, something else we've been talking about. How can we fix this, Fern? Well, it comes to standing up. And at the moment, the Queensland election is the next one. And I don't believe that elections are going to satisfy anything because we can't get enough of us to stand up for them. All I can believe that we can hope for, if we want to try and make a difference, while this current system is in place, and the Queensland election is an ideal opportunity to do this, is to try and get enough people on the crossbench so that there isn't a majority Labor or Liberal National-led government, that they need some of us on that crossbench to agree with whatever tyranny they want to put forward before it can. And hopefully people like us won't let that happen. But I haven't been inundated with your requests to stand in your area and be one of those people. So you don't give a shit. But there are some who do give a shit in your area. One Nation is trying to run somebody in every seat. Now, would I ordinarily come out and support a political party of any persuasion? No, I wouldn't ordinarily. But I do see that we cannot allow the tyranny of the Queensland Labor government to continue, and Christopher Foley the leader of the Liberal National Party, has got billboards all over the place at the moment that I think have been put up by him, but they're attacking him. It, we're not going to be able to change who gets to be the Premier in Queensland. It'll be a Liberal or it'll be a Labor. But we can stop them having carte blanche to do whatever they like that Sept group of satanic witches that gather around him and put through some of the most appalling legislation that has gone before any parliament, and that's saying something, including Victoria, anywhere in this country and probably the friggin' world. In fact, definitely the world. I think we can only put one nation on the crossbench in the hope that they make whoever is in power revoke, repeal those bills that have been made for, those bills that are such a restriction on freedom of speech, amongst other things. And if one nation, if they got enough people on the crossbenches to maintain the balance of power, agreed that as the first order of business, they would subject whoever was the nominated leader, whoever they did the deal with, to be Premier. But the first order of business is to repeal the most recent god of legislation that have been made for. And from there, I would hope one nation will make the bastards stay honest, keeping them honest. Now, I would ask anybody from one nation, including Senator Malcolm Roberts, or better still, Senator Pauline Hanson, to come on the show and tell us about their people here in Queensland. If there are those people in Queensland who are running for one nation, want to come on for a bit of an interview, and let's find out what sort of people they are. Because unless one of you, because, we think a certain way, unless one of you is prepared to stand up and all of us vote for you in every electorate, we're never going to get anybody into the balance of power, let alone into power as a group. But what we can do as a group is become a voting bloc. I cannot believe those words have come out of my mouth. I'm embarrassed to even say that. But it doesn't detract from that. We can be a very powerful, I don't know what to say the words again, voting bloc. That could put good people, presupposing they are good people that are running for one nation, into the balance of power, giving the people a voice back in Parliament, where it should have always been. I can't see any other viable option than one nation, because they're, to my knowledge, running people in just about every seat. I know the Katter Party are quite strong, very strong in far north Queensland. God love them. I'm not sure how many people they're planning on running across the. I believe that they would back the repealing of this oppressive legislation that's been rammed through. And now it doesn't even have to be rammed through. There is no resistance in the Queensland Parliament. If you sit in power, you put through whatever you like. And we've got gutless, no hope in opposition. That even if they were elected in, I wouldn't trust them to repeal the legislation. I wouldn't trust them to brush their own bloody teeth. But I wouldn't trust them. What makes me trust One Nation? I don't yet. We've got to ask that question. But what other choice at this juncture does Queensland have? I'm all ears. I've been calling for years for people to stand up in your community. Nobody's reached out. Well, a couple have, but not enough. What hope would we have on a federal scale? There's nobody for us to vote for, so we just choose to, not vote or pay the fine or whatever. But what if there was? We thought A1 was. Sort of fell to shit. But doesn't mean we have to stop. But it starts with you. It doesn't start with me. It starts with you emailing me and saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I've got a group around me who will support me doing it. And I've got a group around me that will support you doing it too. If you want to do it for the Queensland election, there's still time. But you've got to get in fast, hard, quick as an independent. But I don't know. Is that we really need somebody in every seat? Because I don't know who you'd vote for in your seat. I know there is nobody in my seat I could vote for in good conscience, even though there is no good conscience of voting. But I'm not all for that. You're wondering why I'm having such a hard time. But until we have a way to enforce the actual law, all we can use is their own rules against them. We have no enforcement arm. We can prove they are an illegitimate foreign-owned corporation acting as a government. There is nothing lawful about that. Now, maybe Australians just aren't smart, the majority. They're just not able to understand what that actually means or why it matters. And maybe it's got nothing to do with smarts. Maybe they're just lazy. They don't care what it means. Who cares? I've got beer in the fridge. I've got a boat out the side. I can go fishing whenever I like. Bit of a shit. Price of food's gone up. Bit of a shit. Price of petrol's not going up at the moment, but has potential to go through the roof. Keep you happy. Footy finals this month. Woohoo! I think just about the AFL Grand Final this weekend. And that would probably make it the NRL Grand Final, I couldn't tell you. Would not tell you who's playing it. They're the circuses, folks. They're the circuses. Hey, that's great stuff. Kim, two freedom fighters. Pardon me, ran in the Coffs Harbour Council election. Did any of them get in? Did any of them get in? That's the biggest thing. We have when these people, when we stand, when we put ourselves up for this, it's not a matter of saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. We really have to go and do it. We have to go and do what those shitful politicians do: door knocking, kissing hands, and shaking babies. Yes, we have to go and do it because it's how they do it and get the numbers against them or get a bit of face time. And it might be not something you're used to doing. But shaking people's hands, smiling, and asking them where their hardship is at the moment, what they would change if they had a voice like yours in that place, in that parliament. If you presented them 3, 4, 5, 10 issues about freedom of speech, about the jab, about this, that, and the other, the efficacy, this, that, and the other, and we're able to convince them that maybe you, along with a lot of other of us in every other seat, are worthy of that person's vote. It will take door knocking. It will take going to shopping centres. It will take standing out there. And you won't have to do it yourself, because there will be those around you who will come and support you and stand with you, because they know how important it is to get behind you, us, these people, running on our behalf, to give the people a voice back in. So if I'm going to be chastised for supporting One Nation and talking elections, the only reason I accept criticism, but I can't see an alternative. And anybody offering that criticism can't give me one. I'm greater. Bullshit. I'm trying to find a way for our voice to be heard. And our voice is strong in these rooms, but is it strong enough to beat the bastards at their own game? I would like to think it is. But if it is only through the power of you. You can email me, carl@vofhq.com, if you'd like to stand up and be the person that represents us in Queensland or in your state or at the next federal election. We need to rally behind something. Unless you collectively are prepared to stand up, what else can we do? But in this case, look at One Nation as the best option for Queensland, because we cannot allow Liberal or Labor Party to gain carte blanche to put through anything they like and make it law without some form of review. If we can get the power of the crossbench, we can be that power of review. That takes us getting together, and we'll get an undertaking from One Nation one way or the other, I hope, whether they can be supported, and I would think trusted to do that. Because I'm going to say again, we are a large voting bloc. We don't know how many of us there are in our particular electorate, because they have kept us embarrassed, shamed, and ostracized. So we don't automatically recognize each other. But we are everywhere, and we are growing. Use that. Think about it. And then, hopefully, act on it. Have a good night, folks. I have another place to be, if only briefly, because I'm absolutely knackered. And tomorrow is another day. Hopefully I'll have a bit more world view. Be safe on the roads. Watch out for that.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!